Hi there everyone, happy Tuesday. I am King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. Pretty hot and a pretty dry day, and those conditions still around, elevating our fire concerns here as we head on into the evening. So we are still going to remain in first alert mode through the evening and into at least the first half of the night. After midnight is when we expect to see those red flag warnings, those wind advisories to end, and we'll see improving conditions and a little more moisture come back to our atmosphere, and cooler air too going to be coming around heading into the day on Wednesday. Still a quiet end to the work week though, but let's get into it. We are going to stay in first alert mode here through the evening, and those temperatures were up near more the 80s to near 90 degrees, had some of those gusty winds in the foothills, and that increased our fire danger. Now that is slowly but surely beginning to decrease as we head on into the night, and for those areas along the Cascade Crest and farther east, or farther west, sorry, that's where we have the highest potential of maybe noticing a fire or two sparking up if it does, or maybe some of those areas that have already seen fires here on this side of the state, or even eastern Washington, those could flare up just a bit more. But again, as we head on into the night, we're going to see that those conditions will improve. But don't worry, there is hope on the way. Autumn is now less than 6 days away. It is 5 days away, which starts on September the 22nd, and that will come in at 11:19 a.m. And check this out too, more hope on the way. This is the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, and check out the deeper greens that we're seeing over not only just the entire state, but especially our side of the state from the Cascades westward. And that is pretty much the deepest green that you can see, indicating that, well, high confidence that things are going to be wetter than normal heading on here into the dates between the 24th and the 30th at least. And we're talking more late September, possibly even heading into the start of October. So if you are one of those gloomy and cooler and wetter weather fans, don't worry. It looks like things are going to be turning your way here fairly soon. Didn't want to talk about today though, because it was a pretty hot one. Today's observed highs getting up near the 90-degree mark around Seattle, getting up into the 90s actually in Puyallup at 91 degrees. Again, State Fair was actually closed today, so probably a good thing for people who didn't want to be out into the heat. 86 in Tacoma, that reading a little off there in Shelton at 68 degrees. Don't pay attention to that. 86 in Port Townsend and 86 as well in Hoquiam. So the heat was definitely around, as well as the dry conditions, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, but all of that leaving again here as we head on into the night. Tomorrow will be about 10 to 15 degrees cooler. We'll keep that cooling trend going on into the end of the work week, and eventually we'll start to introduce some shower chances into the forecast late Saturday evening, more so Saturday night, and then heading on into the day Sunday, and expect a few more of those around heading into next Monday and Tuesday, and then Monday again going to be the official start of autumn. Here's a look out at Bellingham. Things are quiet and it looks beautiful out there, and if you're a big summer weather fan, well, today it's been your day. We've seen the dry but yet beautiful and sunny conditions out there, and not too much smoke haze. Still able to see Mount Pilchuck off into the distance of our SchoolNet site right here in Granite Falls. So again, conditions not too terrible when it comes to our air quality. You can also see a little haze showing up in the sky from our Tacoma camera, but Mount Rainier looking gorgeous there in the sunshine. Could use a little more snow, and I think at some point here in the next month or two, we'll start to get some on there. As we look out this way towards Payne Field, more the same. And here in Seattle, we are sitting in the mid to upper 80s. It's a very warm one. Winds only coming in at about 4 miles per hour, so not too breezy here as you get more into the lowland areas, but up around the foothills will show you that we are dealing with a bit more of that wind. We're going to cool quickly here into the night, fall into the lower 70s by about 11 p.m. It's going to take a little while for that heat to escape back into outer space and for us to release it and to start to get some of that cooler air back into the picture for us into the day for tomorrow. But just check out the difference from at this point yesterday. Here we are into the early part of your Tuesday evening, and many spots are up by about 15 to 20 degrees from where they were 24 hours ago. That's a huge change. So current numbers right now sitting in more to those mid to upper 80s. A little cooler up that way around Bellingham, more comfortable at least, and the easterly winds actually bring more of a wind off of the strait there at Port Angeles as we're sitting at 71 degrees. So a bit of a different story right there. Let's talk about how dry it is outside. That air mass, it is bringing humidity values down to around 26% in Seattle, 27% in Tacoma. A little more damp as you head farther to the north, if you want to call that, but still around the 50s and 40s. That's a dry air mass for us here across the Pacific Northwest, and 30s out towards the coast. That's that offshore wind that really brings in more of the drier and the warmer air. Now looking at radar, there's nothing to show up on there. High pressure is dominating the region. But we do have our system that is just off to the west, which is going to eventually start to help to bring in a bit more of an onshore flow as we head on into the day for tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Still under these wind advisories until midnight tonight, so do prepare for that, especially if you're along those Puget Sound foothill communities. And the red flag warnings, those are with us until 11 p.m. tonight for the elevated fire danger because of the dry air mass and some of these breezy winds like we're dealing with right now here into the evening. So looking at that on your future winds, you can see those areas near and just south of I-90. That's where we're going to see some of the stronger wind gusts, and those include areas such as Maple Valley, getting closer to Enumclaw and Buckley, maybe even Issaquah or Snoqualmie, North Bend. All of those spots right there dealing with some of the stronger winds as that wind comes down and off of the Cascades here into the evening. Could see some of those gusts around 35 to maybe 40 miles per hour. Outside of there, not as much of an issue. We've been keeping winds between about 5 to 15 miles per hour, but since it is still coming from more that easterly direction, that's what's been warming many of us up. But check it out, as we head on into the first part of the evening, just before sunset right here, 6 to 7 o'clock, the winds start to come down, and we'll lose more of that wind as we head on into the middle and the latter part of the night. 8 p.m., things continuing to subside with the winds, and here we are closer to midnight and right around when we are going to see those advisories and those red flag warnings, and we'll see mostly the winds between about 10 to 20 at that point. Still kind of breezy in a few spots, but definitely beginning to let up and more of that trend to go on into early tomorrow morning, while seeing a wind shift as we head into late tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, with that beginning to come back off of the Pacific to bring in the cooler air mass. So yeah, it's going to be back on the way here. Not going to take too much longer. As far as temperatures, you can see they go from the mid to upper 80s down into the 60s by about midnight. Now we're going to try to cool down as much as possible tonight. I think more 50s are ahead, mid to upper 50s, and then we get into the afternoon tomorrow, 3 p.m., back up around the low to mid 70s, and then we cool back down quite a bit heading on into early Thursday morning. Yeah, there are going to be some 40s out there, so a bit of a chilly start for us into Thursday before we warm back up into the afternoon, but keeping things very comfortably in the 70s with plenty of sunshine ahead at that point. And over the next 5 days, the average high is at 72 degrees, so 76 tomorrow, still a bit above average. And for Friday, too, we'll keep temperatures slightly above normal, but Thursday closer to that normal mark, and then the 60s are around because we're going to see those rain chances return heading on into the weekend. And here that is right here. You can see things beginning to pick up late work week as you'll see that system out over the Pacific and through the Gulf of Alaska heading our way, which will eventually start to ramp up some of the shower chances later on into the evening and heading on into more of Sunday. I think if you are going to be out, or if you have any plans to be outdoors on Saturday, good part of the day going to be dry, so wouldn't be too concerned about that, especially if you're out before 4 p.m. I would think. By the evening hours, though, heading into the night, that's when this system comes in, helps to produce some of the rain, which will continue on into more of the day on Monday with a few light showers around, and then expect to see some higher chances, probably more so into Tuesday. Monday's going to be a hit or miss day for us as far as shower chances, but then on into Tuesday, we'll have the higher chance come through with that system coming in off of the Pacific. You can kind of tell, though, we're going to be in this pattern where things are going to be active, so expect to see more rain in the forecast here as we head on into the end of September. All right, your forecast tonight, we drop down into the 50s. Going to be quite a few of them out there. 56 in Bremerton, 54 in Shelton. Again, even though we aren't really going to see much of a cool down in a few spots, those clear skies do help out in areas closer to the coast. So that's where we'll start to notice more of the cool down. And then into the day for tomorrow, still a pretty warm one, mid to upper 70s, especially for this time of the year, but definitely a lot cooler than what we had here on Tuesday. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Next 3 days, comfortably warm and plenty of sunshine still going to be around for us. We'll start the wet pattern heading into the latter part of your Saturday and Saturday evening, and expect more of that rain around heading to Sunday and Monday as we officially begin the season of fall. All right, everyone. Well, hopefully you're still staying safe here and staying away from any fire here for the evening hours, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next few days as things start to cool back down and become a lot more comfortable. We'll talk to you soon.